When you think about math, you probably think about things that are, well, certain. 2 plus 2 is always going to be 4. But the real world, it's not always so neat. Is it going to rain today? Is your favorite team going to win the big game? Today, we're jumping into the math of maybes. This is your guide to basic probability. So here's the game plan. We're going to start by figuring out the difference between what's certain and what's just chance. Then we'll learn how to actually put a number on how likely something is. We'll start simple with a coin toss, then move on to trickier stuff. We'll also see why what should happen doesn't always match what does happen, at least at first. And then the best part. I'm going to give you the one formula you need to calculate all of it. Finally, we'll wrap up with the key things you'll want to remember. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, certainty versus chance. We're going to look at exactly why we need a whole field of math just for dealing with the word maybe. Think about it like this. On one hand, you've got stuff that's totally predictable. 1 plus 1 is always 2. No surprises there. But on the other hand, you've got real life. You flip a coin, is it heads or is it tails? You just don't know for sure until it lands. And that's where probability comes in. It's the tool we use to bring some logic to all that randomness. Okay, so if we can't be 100% certain, how do we even talk about this stuff? That brings us to Section 2, measuring likelihood. It turns out there's a really simple way to visualize this, and it's called the probability line. So what is probability, really? At its heart, it's just a way to put a number on how likely something is to happen. It's kind of like a score for chance. Let's start at the very bottom of the scale, the number 0. If something has a probability of 0, it's impossible. It is absolutely, positively not going to happen. And then, all the way at the other end, you've got the number 1. A probability of 1 means an event is certain. It's a sure thing, guaranteed to happen. And pretty much every event you can think of fits somewhere on that line between 0 and 1. And smack dab in the middle, that's where you find 1/2 or 0.5 or 50%. This is for things that are just as likely to happen as they are not to happen. Like our good old coin toss. And notice you can write it as a fraction, a decimal, or a percentage. It all means the exact same thing. Okay, so a coin toss is pretty straightforward, right? Heads or tails. But what happens when things get a little more complicated? Let's find out in Section 3, Beyond the Coin Toss. Let's just compare them side by side. With a coin, you've got 2 outcomes, so your chance of getting heads is 1 out of 2. But with a standard 6-sided die, suddenly you have 6 possible outcomes. So the probability of rolling any single number, say a 3, drops all the way down to 1 out of 6. And this shows us something really, really important. The more options there are, the less likely any single one of them becomes. And here's a super important rule, like a fundamental truth of probability. If you take the probability of every single possible thing that could happen and add them all together, the total will always be 1, or, 100%. For the coin, half plus half is 1. For the die, 1/6 plus 1/6, and so on, 6 times, you get 6/6, which is also 1. It's a fantastic way to double-check if your math is right. All right, let's dive into Section 4, Theory Meets Reality. This is a big one because it tackles something that trips a lot of people up, the gap between what the math says should happen and what actually happens when you try it in the real world. But first, we need a quick definition for a word we're going to use a lot, trial. A trial is just one attempt at something random. So flipping a coin once, that's a trial. Rolling a die once, also a trial. It's basically another word for an experiment. So let's say you roll a die just 12 times. What happens? Well, you might get something that looks kind of messy. Like you might get 4 2s, but only 1 5. It seems all over the place, right? It doesn't look like that neat 1 in 6 chance we were talking about. This just goes to show that over a small number of trials, the results can be really uneven. But what if we don't stop at 12? What if we roll it 12,000 times? Whoa, now things look different. All of a sudden, those bars start to even out. The number of times you rolled each number gets really, really close to what the theory predicted. And that's the magic of it. Probability isn't about predicting one trial. It's about seeing the pattern over the long haul. Okay, this is what we've been building up to. Section 5, the probability formula. Forget all the complicated stuff for a second. This is the one, simple, powerful tool you need to calculate chance. So after everything we've seen, how do you actually do it?
What's the secret sauce for putting a number on all these different scenarios? It's this. This right here. Probability is just a simple fraction. On the top of the fraction, you put the number of ways your specific event can happen, the thing you're interested in, and on the bottom, you put the total number of things that could possibly happen. That's it. That's the whole shebang. Let's make this real. Imagine we have a bag of marbles. 3 are green, 7 are yellow, and 1 is white. What's the probability of reaching in and pulling out a green one? Okay, step 1, we want green. Step 2, how many green marbles are there? 3. So 3 is our top number. Step 3, how many marbles are there in total? 11. That's our bottom number. So step 4, the probability is simply 3 over 11. Done.
And check it out, this formula works for everything in the bag. The chance of getting a yellow one, well, there are 7 yellow marbles, so that's 7 out of 11. That's the most likely outcome. The chance of pulling that lonely white marble, just 1 out of 11, the least likely. And see how if you add them all up, 3 11ths, 7 11ths, and 1 11th, you get 11 11ths, which is just 1. It all works perfectly. Whew, we have covered a ton of ground. So before we wrap up, let's just nail down the most important things you need to remember in our final section, your key takeaways. Okay, if you forget everything else, remember these 3 things. First, probability is just a scale from 0 to 1, from impossible to certain. Second, you now have the formula. It's just what you want to happen divided by everything that could happen. And third, remember that real life gets closer and closer to the math the more times you try something. And that's really it. That's the core of probability. It's a way of using math to make sense of a world that's full of maybes. It helps us make smarter choices, whether we're playing a game, investing money, or just making a decision in our daily lives. So now that you know how to figure out the odds, the only question left is, what are you going to do with them?